Here's your news for April 30th, 2020, and your headlines include big companies coming forward to purchase WWE, new details surface on Cain Velasquez's WWE release, WWE not so eager to grant every superstar release request, Jon Moxley plays with Vince McMahon's puppet, talk show host rips WWE over essential business status, and more. We're starting today with some huge news from WWE. As while Vince McMahon is currently running the show, he may not be for much longer. According to Dutch Mantel, the veteran wrestling personality overheard directly from WWE's office in Stamford that the WWE may be sold off in just a few weeks, and there have allegedly been talks between WWE and both ESPN and Fox, who are both owned by Disney, about a deal to sell both WWE and the network. It should be noted that this is just a rumor, but given that Mantel has some friends in the company who could be aware of possible business moves, it's possible that there's some credibility behind his claim. With that said, a source inside the company spoke to Ringside News on the matter, saying, "Why would anyone believe him on anything?" So it looks like Mantel's comments should be taken with a grain of salt. It wasn't too long ago that Vince McMahon spoke about selling the WWE network during the last investors' call, and the boss's ambiguous wording seemed to shift from selling streaming rights to something larger. Fox themselves have seen a boost of viewership on FS1 thanks to their weekly WWE blocks on Tuesday night, which have come about due to many sports events being cancelled due to the ongoing global situation. During Wrestling Observer Live, Brian Alvarez said that WWE has been open for business for quite some time, but given the current global situation, the likelihood of WWE being sold soon isn't looking good. He said, "WWE has been fielding offers. I guess I shouldn't even say fielding offers. Vince even talked about this on the investors call. He said if someone wants to buy, we're willing to listen. It's been this way for years now. So is it possible? I mean, there's been a lot of strange things with Vince selling his stock and all sorts of strange things. I mean, is it possible that WWE could be sold? I mean, of course. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 5 or 10 years WWE gets sold. But if anybody is going to be looking to acquire anything in the next 3 months, in the middle of this crisis, I would be very surprised. Also, I'd be surprised if the first we hear about this would be from Dutch Mantel." He added that Vince McMahon will probably want $5 billion for the company, since UFC was purchased for $4 billion. Like we said, Mantel's comments about WWE selling to Disney remain just rumors, and fans will have to wait and see what comes next in arguably the most unpredictable year in company history. We're looking at the UFC now, as over the years WWE has welcomed plenty of crossover athletes from the Octagon, and now that list may include UFC Women's Featherweight Champion Amanda Nunes. On Instagram, the fighter shared a photo of herself fighting Raw's Shayna Baszler in 2015, and when Sports Illustrated asked about this post, she said, "It was a huge moment in my career. It's not about showing people that I hurt her. It's a reminder to me about believing in my coach. My coach at the time wanted me to drop her with the leg kick, and that's what happened." She was then asked about potentially joining the Queen of Spades in WWE and said, "Not right now, but maybe later when I retire. I'm open to it. Why not? I could try something new." Nunes' next fight was meant to be on May 9th at UFC 249, though that isn't happening now. But for now, she remains a UFC star, though hasn't ruled out jumping ship to WWE when the time is right. We're once again looking at WWE's recent releases, as after just one televised match where Brock Lesnar was able to get his win back and tagging with Rey Mysterio in Mexico City, Cain Velasquez was let go from WWE this month. Fightful Select is reporting that the former UFC heavyweight champion's release happened this week, unlike most releases that took place earlier this month, and as of right now, there are no more names set to be cut from the company. The report reads, "The word of Cain Velasquez's release came this week, and there are other names that have been cut that WWE didn't publicly announce. Everyone we've talked to at the WWE Performance Center and in WWE said Velasquez was very nice and respectful when he was around. His deal was scheduled to go into the fall of 2022. It's a shame that Velasquez's career in WWE ended 2 years before he was expecting, but at least he left a good impression, and with rumors that his career in the ring might not be done just yet, the fans may one day see Cain return to a WWE ring." We've got more news from backstage now, as though we reported yesterday that the WWE was prepared to release any superstar who wanted to go, this may not be the case. A source for Ringside News has clarified that in regards to who WWE is willing to let go, it all depends on who you are, and the company has been known to change their minds about something very quickly if things start going south. Given that WWE has a lot of big stories right now, it's unlikely that they'd grant a release request from a top star like Seth Rollins, though it's almost impossible that Rollins would ever ask to leave, especially after defending the company so many times in the past. With how uncertain times are for WWE, you never know if more cuts could be on the way, but if a superstar does feel that they could do better outside of WWE, now is the time to request a release. We are looking at AEW now, as when Jon Moxley appeared on Chris Jericho's podcast, he spoke on a very particular line from Vince McMahon, saying the boss would fire back with, "Good shit, pal," whenever somebody pitched something he didn't like. That line made its way to WrestleMania, as the Mr. McMahon puppet used it during the Firefly Funhouse match, and the reigning AEW World Champion revealed his reaction to hearing the infamous line on the biggest show of the year. He said, "I kinda popped for it, honestly. I thought it was pretty funny. But it's like, I think I might have popularized that or made it into a pop culture thing, but everybody knows that's what he says. He's been saying that for decades. People who are probably doing Vince McMahon impressions have been saying, 'That's good shit,' even before I got into wrestling." Given the friendship of Moxley and Wyatt, it's likely that the line was pitched to WWE's creative team by The Fiend himself, though the line has taken on new life, even having official merchandise from WWE's shop. We are sticking with AEW now, as the company's upcoming Double or Nothing show is still taking place on May 23rd, and the Memorial Day weekend show will see the crowning of the inaugural TNT champion. On this week's Dynamite, fans saw two semifinal matches, as Cody defeated Darby Allin after rolling up Allin after a coffin drop, while Lance Archer defeated a bloody Dustin Rhodes to punch his ticket to the tournament finals. Though the show will be taking place on May 23rd, it won't be in the originally planned host city of Las Vegas, as fans watching at home will have to tune in to see the crowning of the first AEW TNT champion. Back to WWE now, and one person who probably won't be going anywhere anytime soon is Rey Mysterio. And while at one point it looked like the WWE was heading to an angle where Rey would put his mask on the line, that never transpired. With that said though, the master of the 619 doesn't seem to have any problem putting his iconic mask on the line, as he said on The Bump, "If the opportunity came about, I would jump in a heartbeat on putting his mask on the line again." I think that's what makes Lucha Libre exciting, and in this case, to bring Lucha Libre to the WWE and show the WWE Universe the excitement behind the mask versus hair match, or the mask versus title match. You know, you put your heart out there in those matches. I would actually love to jump in the ring one of these days before I retire and put my mask on the line against something that is well worth it. It'll be interesting to see if WWE takes Mysterio's mask off of him by the time he wraps up his career, as though there's always a chance, losing Rey's trademarked mask would mean potentially losing some serious merchandising dollars. We're looking at NXT Women's Champion Charlotte Flair now, as though the Queen held the title in the past. The coveted gold received an upgrade since she held it in 2015. Now Flair has shared her own side plates on Instagram after toppling Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, which feature a queen chess piece surrounded by pawns. Speaking of Ripley, the former champion hasn't been seen since her WrestleMania loss, and though rumors circulated that she had returned to Australia due to her work visa, Ripley proved she's still in the US. Flair's next challenger for the title will be Io Shirai, who won a 6-woman ladder match to get her shot at the Queen. But until then, fans will have plenty of opportunities to see Flair and her new side plates in action. We've got news from SmackDown now, as last week's show saw a celebration of Triple H's 25-year WWE career, and the show certainly ended with an interesting tribute to the game. In the main event spot, Triple H's best friend Shawn Michaels cracked some jokes at his pal's expense, though what fans saw weren't the only jokes to be made. On Twitter, the two-time Hall of Famer and NXT trainer said, "I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but there was a lot more amusing stuff there, but some people just didn't want it to be there." Michaels also spoke about how some of his jokes didn't exactly land with his daughter, saying, "It started out as a comedy segment, but the only people who knew it was supposed to be funny were Hunter and I. That whole social distancing joke, my daughter, that's his. I came home from NXT and I came in for my usual evening hug and she's like, facepalm, hey. So I've been in quarantine for 14 days so I could do that joke. Michaels went on to say that there's a certain chemistry whenever he shares the screen with the game, but since Vince McMahon clearly wasn't a fan of the segment, fans may have to wait another 25 years to find out the amusing stuff that was cut from the show. We're taking a break from the ring now, as it's been confirmed that Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch will be appearing on the Season 5 premiere episode of Billions. Appearing on WWE's The Bump alongside Billions co-creator Brian Koppelman, the pair made the news official, as it was revealed that the man received an invite for the show after Koppelman wore a Becky Lynch t-shirt during a convention panel. It wasn't noted just how big of a character Lynch will play, but with acting credits including The Marine 6 and working as a stunt person in a 2013 episode of Vikings, it'll be interesting to see what role Lynch will be in other than being the man when the 5th season premieres on Sunday, May 3rd at 9 p.m. Eastern on Showtime. Now, the latest edition of Vice's Dark Side of the Ring focused on David Schultz and the time when he slapped reporter John Stossel in 1984 after the 2020 reporter questioned the legitimacy of pro wrestling. One man who saw the episode was CM Punk, though he argued that many fans were missing the point of the episode. Though many fans online praised Dr. D for the slap, Punk argued that if Schultz had received this kind of support immediately after what happened, things could have been much different. He said, "Wrestlers and fans who spend the energy to applaud Schultz slapping Stossel, stop and think, and spend half of that wishing there was a way to stick together and stand up for Schultz being blackballed. Until then, you're all missing the point." Given the show is called Dark Side of the Ring, it's not surprising that the show is focused on the sadder side of wrestling, and we can only wonder what would happen if this situation was handled differently or took place in 2020. We're continuing with our look at wrestling's darker side next, as Ricardo Rodriguez has commented about how concussions have changed his life. In addition to being Alberto Del Rio's ring announcer, Ricardo is a wrestler himself, and in a tweet said that his concussions will live with him forever and that his brain turns on and off. Though he said he's good now, Rodriguez urged those reading his tweet to continue to research how concussions hurt the fragile human brain. Studies are also discovering more and more about the brain, and while there may be a day when concussions are no longer an issue, they will continue to be a huge part of all sports for a very long time to come. And we're ending today with news from Conan O'Brien, as the iconic funny man has shared his thoughts on Florida deeming WWE, as well as any nationally broadcast show performing on a closed set, as essential business. During an episode of his quarantine show, Conan took some pretty good shots at WWE being essential, and though he considered it a tribute, he seemed to have a lot of fun making jokes at the company's expense. O'Brien would go on to run a montage which took a mocking look at WWE's status as an essential business, and while it's very clearly an outsider's perspective, it's interesting to see how WWE is viewed from outside our wrestling bubble.